Hello, and welcome to this bite-sized workshop on managing academic stress. Top tips from the Mental Health and Wellbeing team. So to start with, what is stress and when is it a problem? The Mental Health Foundation defines stress as a feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. Stress can be categorised into two columns. There's healthy stress and unhealthy or problematic stress. So to look at healthy stress first of all, when stress is healthy, it can motivate us to meet challenges and get things done, so it can help us to be productive. It can help us respond quickly to danger or threats to make sure we keep ourselves safe. Having a more positive view of stress can protect us from its harmful effects, and it can impact how we respond to the feelings of stress. However, unhealthy stress or problematic stress is when stress is experienced over a prolonged period of time, when stress impacts our day-to-day life, and when stress becomes debilitating. So in a nutshell, it's when it stops us from doing the things that we want to do and stops us engaging in life fully. On the screen now, you'll see the cycle of stress. And this is a theory from cognitive behavioural therapy that helps us to understand our experience of stress, how it's created, and how it's then maintained. And I'm going to talk you through it briefly now. So often stress starts with a trigger situation. So in an academic context, this might be an upcoming deadline that feels particularly difficult. This can then result in a negative thought or worrisome thought. Maybe the thought is, I'm going to fail this deadline because I don't understand it. This can then result in an emotional response. Because you've had a negative thought, some difficult emotions may come up, such as feeling frustrated that you don't understand, feeling stressed, feeling irritable, and maybe even feeling tearful and upset. This can then result in some physical symptoms. So for example, you might feel that you are struggling to concentrate because of the stress. You may feel fatigue or maybe even butterflies in your stomach if you feel quite nervous or quite anxious about it. All of this can then result in a behavioural response. So it may be that because of the discomfort and distress caused by this upcoming deadline, you avoid working on that deadline. This results in a new stressor, which may be, I'm not going to get my work in on time because you've fallen behind on your schedule. So hopefully this is a useful cycle to refer to when you experience academic stress or any form of stress, in terms of understanding what's going on for you and why you might be experiencing prolonged stress. The idea behind this cycle is if we can break it at any of these 1 points, so addressing negative thoughts or changing our behavioural response, we'll be able to better manage and reduce our stress response to academic stress and pressures. So I'm now going to briefly talk you through some really simple stress management tools to help you to address your academic stress. And the first one is looking at managing your thoughts. There's a really simple method that you can use, which is putting your thoughts on trial. In this exercise, you will put your thought on trial by acting as a defence attorney, prosecutor, and judge to determine the accuracy of the thought. So to give you an example, you might have the thought of, I'm going to fail this upcoming exam. The defence will look at factual evidence to support this thought, and the key here is that it is factual evidence. No opinions are allowed in this column. So the defence attorney might say, Yeah, you failed exams in the past and it might happen again. It might say, due to the stress that you're experiencing, this might impact your performance in the exam. You might have lots of competing and demands on your time, which means you're not able to revise for your exam as much as you would like. Then you would look at the prosecution, so evidence against the thought. So some examples that might go in this column is, yeah, I may have failed an exam in the past, but I've also passed another 3 exams, showing that I do have the skills and abilities to complete exams successfully. It may be that you put in this column that you do have time to revise for this exam, although it might not be as much as you like. You do have time carved out and planned in your diary to focus on what you need to do for this exam. So there's just some examples of what you might think about and how you might look at a thought in a more balanced way. At the end, you'll come to a verdict. So this will look at your belief in this thought once you have done the defence and the prosecution. So in this case, it might be, although this exam feels stressful, I have got time to revise and I have passed exams in the past, which shows that I have the skills and capabilities to complete this exam successfully. And this might help just settle some of those stressful or worrisome thoughts that you're having and take a more objective stance. So I would really encourage you to kind of replicate this template, and when you notice difficult thoughts arising around academic pressures, giving this method a go and writing your thoughts down. Next, I'm going to provide an exercise that you can do to address your emotional and physical symptoms in relation to academic stress. Deep breathing is a simple technique that's really excellent for managing a range of difficult emotions. Not only is deep breathing effective, it's also discreet and easy to use at any time or place, including in an exam setting or when you're in a classroom or at work, wherever it might be. So I've detailed a really simple exercise here that, as I said, you can do anytime or any place, but I would encourage you to integrate this into your daily or weekly routine. The more that you practice this, the more that you will be able to kind of calm and relax your nervous system. To briefly talk you through the exercise, it starts with sitting comfortably and placing one hand on your abdomen. Breathe in through your nose, deeply enough that the hand on your abdomen rises. Hold the air in your lungs and then exhale slowly through your mouth with your lips puckered as if you were blowing through a straw. So you inhale for 4, hold for 4 and exhale for 6. A few rounds of this can really help us to relax, to manage our stress and access a calmer place. There's a range of breathing exercises that are online that you can access. If you type in box breathing or guided breathing on YouTube, there'll be a range of guided videos that come up. And there's also a range of apps available, such as Breathe or Calm, that provide a similar thing. So you may want to look into that. Finally, looking at managing our behavioural response. So as I said previously, we may have some unhelpful behaviours in place to manage our academic stress. This may be procrastination, overworking, neglecting self-care, or unhealthy coping mechanisms such as a reliance on alcohol or avoidance. So how can we replace our unhelpful behaviours with some more helpful behaviours? And I think a really positive starting point is looking at kind of simple self-care and self-compassion when it comes to pressurised and stressful experiences. So here I've detailed 6 top tips for prioritising self-care when you're going through a stressful experience. As you can see, I've noted to ensure you have a healthy balance of necessary and pleasurable activities in your day. So making sure that you might have your work, your placement, and then still have some study to do at the end of the day. But it's making sure that you schedule at least sort of half an hour to just have some you time, something that you enjoy. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's a phone call with a friend, maybe it's doing a face mask, but making sure that when you look at your calendar for the week, you've got a healthy dose, that sprinkling of pleasurable activities during your week. This is going to really help to boost your mood, well-being, and your overall productivity. Establish a healthy sleep routine and aim to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time each day. If you are working, this is much easier to do, and do try to aim for between sort of 7 and 9 hours per night. Keep yourself energized by eating regularly and eating a balanced diet. You know, what we put in our mouths is fuel. It does impact an array of different aspects of our well-being. So just making sure that we're not consistently reaching for the takeaway menu, which, you know, every now and then is absolutely fine, but making sure we get that nutrition that we need. Incorporate some form of exercise into your daily routine, even if this is kind of some light stretching by your desk, a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be anything too extreme. You're still going to feel the kind of recharging benefits of introducing that into your routine. Number 5, ensure that you take regular breaks. I always like to use the car analogy on this one. So you wouldn't drive a car on an empty tank of petrol. You've got to take the time to take it to the petrol station and fill up the tank so that it works effectively. And we're exactly the same. You know, breaks are an essential part of our study experience and professional experience. Will burn out if we don't take regular breaks. So it's good to kind of reconceptualize it as a really kind of integral part of our productivity and well-being. And finally, list 3 things that you're proud of at the end of each day. If we're working full time and we've got study to fit around that, it can be really hard to kind of end your day on a positive note or take that time for reflection. But actually, by looking at the day through that kind of positive lens, thinking about, you know, what you've done well, what you feel proud of. Was it that you smiled at a stranger in a corridor? Was it that you cooked dinner for a friend? Was it that you got the first 200 words of an assignment written? Whatever it might be, it can be really good to end the day by just listing those things. And again, really good for kind of boosting overall mood and well-being. So that's the end of the presentation. If you do feel that you need some further support with academic stress or any mental health or emotional well-being issue, there is support available online. Our Talking Therapy service offers telephone and Teams appointments. We also have some upcoming online groups, and there's also the Live Well, Learn Well blogs and an extended version of this presentation that you can access. We run them as open workshops throughout the academic year, and there's lots of self-help materials as well as an online therapeutic platform that you can access called Together All. So please scan the QR code and take a look at that. There's also external support services. I'm displaying them here with the web addresses for you to look into as well. Thank you for your time.